Hello everybody, my name is Mike Beer, I'm the COO of H5 Resources, and I'm going to give you a little update of where we are with the Mwerasandu tin project. Starting off, the picture on this first slide is looking north. It's Mwerasandu Hill in the foreground, that you can see the light coloured areas that have been mined by the artisanal miners for the last 60 years. And you can see the results of their mining activities with all the waste tips on there. In the foreground, you can see where we've cleared two patches of the bananas plantations, and on the left-hand side, you can see there's Adit 7, which was the lowest entrance point to the mine, and there's a pond in front of it. That's the earthworks there, and in the foreground where all those trees are, that's the historical tailings dump. All of those trees have been planted on those old dumps. And to the east side, you can see our main site there with the processing plant and the offices and our slimes pond. And what we'll be doing is we're going to be mining the alluvial material, which is south of the hill. We can see either side of the red plots there is that where the bananas are planted. That's where we'll be targeting for the alluvial mining. The underground mining will take place in the hill at a later stage when we've rehabilitated the mine. So that orientates you where we are. The access road is just on the right hand side of the picture there, and this picture is pretty much taken looking north along the line of the road, the tarmac road that runs south to Rwanda. So let's get started. I'll give you a little bit of background about H5 and about how and why we started it. Is that we wanted to start a mining company, myself and Igor, the CEO. But we realized very quickly that people don't like mining, they don't want to invest in it, they don't want to work in it. And there's a reason for that, is that very often mining companies are not great community actors. They do all sorts of damage to the environment and to the social situation around them. And they've got a bad reputation as a result of that. And I'm not going to read the slide, you can read all those points there, and on the right hand side you can see some of the worst effects of mining, and that can be disasters caused by failures of waste storage dumps. So we asked ourselves, how can we do it differently? What kind of company do we want to work for, and what would that look like? So we came up with a solution which was a low carbon mining company that thinks differently, and we'd seek to be net zero or below that. And we want to build a company that's got the social objectives and the environmental objectives built into the company at the outset, not just something that we slap on retrospectively trying to greenwash the company. So that's what the founding principle of H5 Resources was. So we wanted to look for a project, and we wanted to find something that had good attributes, that we could rehabilitate, that was possibly a brownfield project, and we could build in our objectives of rehabilitation from the outset. And after a long search, we came across Mwerasandu in Uganda, and that's really what this talks about. It was discovered in 1925. There's a long story there with a gentleman who found 80 tons of cassiterite on the surface of the hill. It was abandoned in 1960, and it worked basically from 1927 to 1960. There's official records of about 6,000 tons of tin metal, and that was just from the top 150 metres of the deposit. After that period, we estimate a similar amount of tin has been mined from Mwerasandu, with it mostly being sold to illegal channels, and the artisanal miners that are currently working on the licence are probably producing about half a tonne of tin per day, probably, from the estimates that we've made. There's over 1 kilometre of strike length on the licence. The deposit's open at depth, and there is both hard rock and alluvial targets. And in the short term, it's been the alluvial, the surface targets that we're interested in while we rehabilitate the underground mine. There's also old stockpiles that we can reprocess, at least 150,000 tonnes of old stockpiles and tailings. And one of those tailings dumps has found elevated quantities of beryllium that we're currently investigating. The mine is adit access for the underground mine. We wouldn't need a shaft, you just drive adits into the side of the hill. And pretty much the mine was mined in the past down to adit level. The tin is very coarse. We don't need to use gravity. We don't need to use chemicals. It's just simple gravity. We're connected to the grid, and we have an expectation to transform the lives of the artisanal miners over time as we open the underground mine up, and we can provide more jobs to them. and we're fully permitted. We have a mining license. Now, our vision for the Mwerasandu Tin project is we were looking to rehabilitate what's a very highly disturbed area. We want to make our operation to be carbon negative. I mentioned about the social program to re-engage the artisanal miners from their current activities into much safer activities. We want to introduce traceability and cut the smuggling that's happened in the past. We want to be a zero waste operation. And what that means is that when we process gravel or rock for tin extraction, that the byproducts, sand, gravel and clay, are separated into quality products and sold to the local market or given away. Also, we want to produce biogas and use that for brick and ceramic production from the clay material that's a byproduct. The long-term aim is to supplement our hydropower from the national grid with on-site solar. We're currently looking at that. We want to increase the biodiversity of the area that's been completely denuded. The mine was never properly closed. It was abandoned. So we wish to reintroduce local flora to the mine site, and we'll be progressively doing that via our nursery. I've mentioned about the immediate production from the alluvial deposits that are in highly disturbed areas, and we've got an ongoing plan of reprocessing some of the gravels there and rehabilitating those areas. Our aim is medium to long term to produce 3,000 to 4,000 tonnes of tin per year from the underground mine, and we wish to do something with the critical metals like beryllium that we know exists, but in the past it hasn't been extensively tested, even for lithium, in the underground deposits, and we've got a plan to explore for that and any other critical minerals or rare earths that might be present in a pegmatite deposit of this type. Now, what we've done in 2024, we've paid an awful lot of crop compensation to all the local people in the area for the land that they were squatting on. Obviously, we have a mining license, but we have to compensate for crops, and we've been doing that for all of those areas we've been operating on. We've paid substantial amounts of compensation to the people on that land through a formal process, using the government valuer and our own surveyors to mark out the plots and go through a very fair process that has left some local people very well off from planting a few bananas on our mining license. The picture you can see there is the underground workings projected to surface. So you can see the red lines there are the underground drifts. Adit 7 extends down to the bottom of the picture, and you can see the trace of the ore bodies. Those shaded coloured areas are the traces of the reefs going down that continue at depth. We've currently established our site, as I mentioned. We've got a water supply, we've got a power line from the national grid, we've got a test plant that we use for testing gravel and hard rock material. We've done 2,000 metres of drilling in the alluvial deposits to define where the gravel horizons are. We've also combined that with geophysics that we've had SRK doing. We've built ponds for tailings and for water storage. We've currently got about 20,000 cubic metres of storage on site. We've established a nursery to promote biodiversity. We've commenced outreach to the artisanal miners, and we've had a rope access team go down most of the pits on our license to see what the miners are doing. And the short version of that story is that the artisanal miners are mining in very inhumane conditions, very dangerous conditions, and going down some very long rat holes. And by rat holes, I mean tunnels that are 0.5 metre by 0.5 metre typically, and you have to crawl down on your hands and knees to get down there. Ventilation is poor, and I'm not joking when I say that some of these rat holes, it takes 1 hour to get from one end to the bottom. And these guys on a daily basis are in there mining tint. So we've discovered that the artisanal miners, what they're up to is it's going to be very difficult to mechanise that because of the nature of the accesses and the size of the ore bodies that they're working. They really are scratching away in a large number of very small tunnels that's almost impossible to mechanise. And the last thing we really got going in 2024 was we built a 30-tonne-an-hour alluvial process plant. Now in 2025, we plan to ramp up our surface rehabilitation and processing the remnant gravels, and I'll talk a bit more about that in a minute. I've mentioned about the rope access team. We wish to establish markets for our byproducts, sand, gravel and clay. And we're going to get going with our carbon reduction initiatives. Our first parts of rehabilitated land will be ready for planting, and that will be part of our carbon reduction strategies. We'll also be conducting surface exploration. We've got SRK on site just later this month to establish the exploration program and look at the data for an alluvial resource that we'll produce by Q4 2025. We'll also be doing a life of mine plan for the alluvial material, and towards the end of this year, looking to get about a 4 to 5 year mine life from the alluvial mining, which will give us cash flow to take us into the underground operation, of which we'll be starting to do more exploration. But the exploration we did in 2024 and 2025 in the underground mine shows that all of the historical accesses to the mine have been blocked by the activities of artisanal miners mining remnants of pillars and causing collapses. So we need a lot more equipment and materials to get in there to re-establish those accesses. Now in 2025 we're targeting to produce somewhere between 1 and 200 tonnes of tin metal. Now if we just have a look at the mine plan for 2025, you can see this is a plan of the area. In the top of the picture towards the north is the hill. Those roads run along the east-west strike of the hill, and you can see the plots to the south, and those red areas are plots that we've currently cleared and have been mining. On the right hand side of the picture is plot 110 that we've newly gathered. I'll talk about that a bit more on the next slide. And to the left of the picture is plot 61, where we've been mining a paleo channel that has been stretching from the hill running down the licence. And those have been the sources of gravel that we've been mining and processing this year, and we've been rehabilitating those areas after we've been mining them, particularly plot 61, and I'll show you what we've been doing on plot 110 in a second. And it's been a very simple operation where we push this disturbed material, the overburden, out of the way. We mine the gravel that's remaining down to bedrock. We clean the bedrock to see if there's any tin on it, and then we replace the topsoil. So if I just look at this this slide here, you can see on the left-hand side of the picture, what's happened here is we've cleared the bananas off that. But prior to the bananas being grown on this plot, you can actually see what looks like a stream running down the centre of the plot. So we're actually looking southeast there, and I'm standing sort of on the hill. And the tin has been formed in the quartz reefs behind me, and they've weathered down and been washed south towards the top of that picture. Now, you can see the disturbed ground there. What there's been there is there's been like a tin rush with the local people, where they've dug a whole bunch of pits following this channel going down. And you can see it almost looks like a river running down the centre of the picture towards the top. That's the paleo channel that they were following that contained tin. And the tin was anywhere between 2 to 10 metres below surface in this area. So on the left-hand side, what you're seeing is a very highly disturbed area that was full of some very deep pits, 5 to 10 metres. These pits were not closed. They were left open to the environment. Livestock and people, it's a hazard for those guys to be around this area. So we compensated the farmer for his crop. He removed his crop, and now we're just about to start clearing. So that's the left-hand side of the picture there, what it looks like before we come in with our rehabilitation. Now, if you look at the right-hand side, what's happened is that we've come in and we've pushed the overburden and the topsoil down to the south. That picture is looking slightly east, about halfway down the plot. So you can see in the right-hand side picture, what we've done there is we've cleared the overburden, and there's a pit in the middle we've dug with an excavator to sample the gravel. So what we've done there, we've pushed the overburden out of the way, we sample the gravel. If it's got tin in it, we'll wash that and process it. If it doesn't, we'll push the gravel back and look at another part of this plot. So what we end up with at the end of this process is beautifully restored land where the nightmare on the left-hand side of destruction of the environment has been fully mitigated, and any remaining tin has been extracted. So even if people dig pits there again, they wouldn't find any tin. So it can be returned back to agriculture, and what we intend to do is to plant biomass that we'll use for biogas or for carbon sequestration. Now, moving on to what else we plan to do in 2026 is that we wish to start development of the underground mine with a completely new decline, a new ramp from surface. We wish to get more engaged with the small-scale miners. We'll do some small-scale mining ourselves, but as I said, the future of the artisanal miners, based upon what they're doing, is not very good because they're mining very small deposits in a very dangerous way. So we'll wish to transfer those and transition them into more formal, safer kinds of mining. We'll be expanding our process plant to add crushing, and we're targeting 1.4 million tonnes a year run-of-mine processing at a grade of 0.3% tin. And obviously we'll need a larger plant and facilities for that. In the meantime, we'll continue alluvial mining and support to the small-scale miners we'll be starting. We wish to implement the biogas and add value on site with more downstream activities like construction products. If we've got all this sand and gravel and clay, there's no reason why we can't make bricks, tiles, concrete blocks and other products. And as I mentioned, we're targeting 3,000 or 4,000 tonnes of tin metal. And that's it. Thank you for your attention, and keep following us, and we look forward to bringing you more exciting results of our project in the future. Thank you very much.